announcement. And I actually just shared a big announcement about the California Opportunity Youth Grant Program, which is really aiming to provide funding to organizations that have a history of supporting and uplifting opportunity youth in California and helping get them funded and getting those opportunity youth connected into apprenticeship opportunities. So those are some of the updates that I'm certainly excited to share here today.
Thank you for sharing some of our updates. I'm sure everyone else would love to hear more about that. But my question for you right now is, obviously, Mariah and I are here because we're graduating. So what other opportunities out there for people like us after our apprenticeship program, after graduating? What are ways or opportunities that we can find out to help us grow in our career path?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, what's great about an apprenticeship is that it gets you into the work, right? You're not studying about the work, you're in the work, and you're studying about it also, right? But you're in the work, and therefore, while you're in your apprenticeship, I encourage you to utilize it as much as possible to build for those next steps. And I think some really key ways to do that, some of these are really basic, but keep track of all of the contacts that you make, right? Like those email addresses and telephone numbers that you've gotten, make sure they're in your personal cell phone and make sure they're in your personal spreadsheet so that when you leave this opportunity, you bring that network with you, because that's one of the really strong foundations. And of course, in addition to the skills that you've acquired and the things that you've learned. But I think that it is then leaning on those skills, but also that network to then build towards your next steps, right? And I think one of the things that is often hard early in your career is to learn to be a self-promoter, right? And to be able to say to that next person, hey, I've learned all these things, I gained this incredibly valuable experience, I have this credential, right? Like that's one of the really meaningful different things about an apprenticeship than just any old work experience, is that you're actually obtaining a credential from the US Department of Labor, from California's Division of Apprenticeship Standards that says, yes, you've been trained in and have the experience in this occupation. So I think that you should feel good about that accomplishment and stand in that confidence as you chart your next steps. And I would say one of the great things I've done at many inflections, and those moments where you think, oh gosh, what's next, is ask for informational interviews with people that you have met along the way, and just to learn about their journey, learn about how they got to where they are. And in each of those, ask, is there anybody else you think I should be talking to? And just keep pulling that thread on the network, because eventually you'll find some people who say, oh, I'm so impressed by how you've showed up in this conversation. I'm looking to hire, or I'm looking for a contractor, or you'll surface opportunities by doing that. So those are just a few practical pieces of advice.
Oh, thank you.
So just being in an apprenticeship program, I realized that it's really not a skill set problem, because we have the knowledge for people like me, we have the knowledge required different skills, we have different skill sets that are unique from different. And I think that part of it's lacking opportunity, right? So how does the program allow, how do you guys stay updated with any, updates or any trends where it is now translating to enhancing to opportunities for people like us?
I would say the focus of the Division of Apprenticeship Standards is definitely on creating more apprenticeships, tracking those apprenticeships, making sure that apprentices are supported while they're in their apprenticeship, and certainly tracking the outcome, right? Like how many of those folks transfer into employment, either with that employer that they apprenticed with or in that sector. So that is certainly something that we look at, that we pay attention to. I'll be honest, like what comes next is not something that is ours directly to track, manage, and create opportunities in. I think that however, I'm just speaking directly from the Division of Apprenticeship Standards perspective, But when a program is put together, it's usually put together in a collaboration between employers, educators, sometimes a community-based organization or a workforce board. And those organizations that have put the program together, I think they're part of that network I was talking about, right? Like they're part of helping you chart that next step. And so I would look to the folks involved in the program to be helping you in that next step. And it's something that we keep an eye on from a reporting perspective, but I don't want to create an inflated sense of what the Division of Apprenticeship Standards can do.
Great, and guys, I have she has a very short period of time with us. I wanted to ask Adele, is there any opportunity, because we're putting a pre-apprenticeship program together right now that will integrate things like AI competencies. We were able to take them to some pretty powerful inside industry AI events. Is there any thought process in how the standards builders or the standards can allow things like AI to kind of creep in there to help enhance a particular standards for an industry? Because we're finding in the arts, media, and entertainment sector, AI has had a tremendous impact on the workforce, and will continue to do so.
Yeah.
So any thought about how these guys can help you with live data about how AI is affecting their learning curve and their ability to try and get more direction on where to go with AI?
Yeah, I would say there's a few different angles that we're thinking about the impact of AI. On one hand, we have a committee called the Interagency Advisory Committee on Apprenticeships, which advises, it's external stakeholders that advise the Division of Apprenticeship Standards in how we grow, expand, and support apprenticeship. And in that is an IT subcommittee. And that IT subcommittee is already having conversations about AI apprenticeships and how do we make sure that we're training the workforce around AI, that we're inserting that component of skills development into our workforce development and into our apprenticeships specifically. So that's one angle that we're certainly thinking about the impact of AI. I think the other thing that AI has a sort of larger impact on is that it's going to accelerate the change in work, right? It's going to impact a lot of different parts of our economy. And it means that there may be jobs that are reduced because AI comes into the mix and has an impact, so that you don't need to hire 5 people to do something, you need to hire 3 people to do something, because AI is augmenting what people are doing. And in that overarching impact, I just see that as part of the technological forces that are making our economy change fast. And the day where you could just go to college or go to school, get a job, and stay in that job for the rest of your life may be going away, right? I mean, that may work for some jobs, but things are changing really quickly. And so I think as a society, we need mechanisms to be able to reskill without having to stop earning. Because once you have a house, once you have kids, or just many people can't afford to not earn. And so I see the expansion of apprenticeships as a key mechanism in how we sort of meet this moment of a rapidly evolving economy, so that it creates opportunities for people to shift their careers partway through their careers and not give up earning, right? So if you decide you want to reskill into the healthcare sector, or you want to reskill into the tech sector, that there are apprenticeships there to help you reskill. So I'd say those are kind of the 2 ways that we're thinking about, initially at least, thinking about the impact of AI on apprenticeships.
Shane, any last question?
I do actually, and thank you. When we think about the standards builder, and you made a really good point about basically developing talent and them being validated and credentialed, which really just proves that through the apprenticeship model, there is talent that is skilled and qualified to handle specific specialties. And that's great. But in the apprenticeship builder process, do we also look at not just the fact that they're talented and able to do the work, but do we look at the probability of getting employment opportunities in that specific field? And in that probability, is it connected to empirical data of companies and their growth, where they're going, what their need is, like, are we positioning that qualified talent for the need or the demand in that space?
There's a lot of angles to that. So what I would say is I am wary of AI, of utilizing AI to predict outcomes. And it's because I don't actually have faith that AI doesn't have all of the biases built into it that humanity has. There are lots of biases built into how we all show up in the world and our digital footprint in the world. So I'm not about to propose using AI to select apprentices, to predict the outcome of apprentices. You're not going to find me putting any of that forth because I don't trust. I don't trust AI for that, at least. There are other things that you might be able to, but when it comes to predicting outcomes and selecting talent, I wouldn't go there. However, I think that there are going to be ways that we want to leverage AI potentially to foresee market changes, right? Because we have to be looking at not just where are the jobs today, but where are the jobs going to be in 5 years, where are the jobs going to be in 10 years. And I think that there are certainly like interesting insights to attempt to glean potentially from AI analysis of the global economy to predict where there will be jobs in the future. I don't know, it could be, but so maybe that's where I might look to it for some interesting insights to say, where should we be developing apprenticeships? Because this is where the workforce is going.
Right.
So that part, maybe.
Yeah, I appreciate that, yeah.